Hey everyone, this is AShadowbox of finishing off a two-part series that I started a long time ago with Flight Basics. This is the Cessna Cockpit Familiarization and VOR Flight Part 2. And here we are in the Cessna. We are pretty much where we left off. Actually, I do have EasyDock set up for this. So we're pretty much where we left off. We left Toledo, Toledo Executive, or it's called Metcalf in Flight Simulator, I believe. Yep, Metcalf. So here we are. Let's go ahead and continue the flight. Alright, if we pull up our GPS, we see that we are approaching our waypoint at Toledo. This is the navlog page of the flight planner, or of the knee board. You can get that you get this menu by pressing the Alt key, and then under Aircraft, knee board, navlog. This is pretty handy. It tells you what frequency you need to be tuned to and what heading that you need to be flying. It doesn't give you a frequency at the airport though, so I looked up the airport, and our frequency for the runway is 110.9, and our heading is 354. So yeah. Well, I guess we fly heading 292 to the airport from here, so technically you wouldn't need this because you could just make a visual landing, but since we're going to be doing an instrument approach, we will need that information. As you can see, we're coming up on our waypoint here, and I have gotten our next frequency, 111.2, ready in the standby sector. So yeah, still in our climb to 5,000 feet, approaching the top of said climb. Why don't we go ahead and accelerate time a little bit. That's the Maumee River right there. I think down here. Yep. I think that's Waterville there. Yep. I volunteered for the summer at a metro park right here. It's pretty cool to be able to recognize that in Flight Simulator. And then down here is Benview Park. What we got over here? Beechcraft Baron. He's low enough, I don't think we need to concern ourselves with him. Oh, anyway, let's make the switch. We need to be going at a heading of... Remember, I'm not using this for navigation, I'm just doing this so you can see the changes of the plane. 310. What? Hold, please. Right now, this is telling us we're slightly to the left of our desired course. So we're going to go ahead and the plane is going to go ahead and correct for it. And once this gets lined up, we will be on our desired course. The plane is correcting, I think, a tad too much, so I'll go ahead and disengage autopilot for now and fly this manually. Since we're already, wait, there we go. Remember, if the... Man, sorry, I'm kind of focusing. Whoa, whoa. Turbulence. Oh my gosh. Turbulence, 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 turbulence. Stop it! You're ruining my video! Man, look how much altitude we've gained from this. Come on. Holy moly, that was crazy. Where are we? Let's try getting autopilot back on. Alright, we had a sector there where I noticed that my frame rates were giving me problems again, so I think I'm going to go and cut that out in the editing. I'm not sure how far back I'm going to have to cut, but as you can see, we are almost lined up with our course, and gonna just the plane's going to make some slight corrections to that. So yeah, the plane is basically flying itself. We can go ahead and enter our next frequency into the standby, which is going to be 110.9, and that is the runway. Nope. Nope. Whatever. Well, let's get nav 2 in on the party, too. .2 at 310. See, we're moving toward we're moving toward the radio, which is always good. We're basically centered in it, even though, well, I mean, we're slightly off. I think our airplane is trying to get us right on it. See, our distance is shrinking, our speed there. This is the automatic direction finder, which I'm not entirely sure how to use, to tell you the truth. I think I'm using it correctly. I think that's why this data's here. So yeah. Now it's a waiting game. So that's pretty much all you have to do. And I will bring you guys back when it's time for the next step. Alright everyone, we are coming up to VOR LFD, and there is not going to be a radio change here. All we're going to do is change the direction that we're pointing, because the radio waves that the VOR stations give off, they don't tell you, which way to go. There's not a different frequency for which way to go. It's just the radio waves go off on well, it's 360 degrees. This is kind of a little harder to explain than I anticipated. Well, basically this just tells you which way you're going relative to the station. The flag, if it's a white flag pointing toward it, means you're going that toward the station. If it's pointing away, it means you're flying that away from the station. So we're going to adjust to 292 right as we get over the station here. And if remember, this GPS is just here so you guys can see the plane relative. You could do this with just this. You don't need the GPS at all. So we're gonna go ahead and switch to 292. The plane's gonna freak out, so I'm going to turn off autopilot, resume control, get us lined up. Hopefully without any turbulence this time. I really hope that part doesn't get cut out because of the frame rate. That was kind of funny and unexpected. Reason for that being I forgot to turn off the weather before I loaded up this flight. So let's see. I'm looking up at nav radio 1 right now. Well, not the radio, at the indicator, I guess. I did not set the course for 2, so that is inaccurate for the moment. Just looking up at 1. You can see the flag on the bottom by where it says nav has changed to an away flag. And we're closing in on the vector here, and let's go ahead and correct our course. And at this point it should be safe to resume navigation hold. Nope. I guess that's a limitation of FSX. It doesn't want to, whoa, going off all sorts of weird angles thanks to that. It doesn't want to, track it. The autopilot doesn't want to track it away from the station, it only wants to track it to the station. I did not anticipate that happening. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Your equipment will track it to the station just fine, but it appears away from the station is a different story. Okay, actually, it looks like it is tracking away from the station now. Maybe that was an error on my part. Maybe I accidentally hit the heading hold selector. But why is it still flying 300? I need it to fly that way. This is hard to get. Since this is a dial and not a digital readout, it's hard to get it to do exactly what you want, so you kind of just gotta play with it a little bit. You know, get it close enough. What, let's see, so we are coming up. Let's see, from LFD we have 36 miles remaining to the airport. Or sorry, we've gone 51 miles, have 36 remaining. Yep. I'd rather have our course selected closer to 292 than 295, or closer to 290 than 295. So, go ahead and do that. Everything's still looking okay. We might actually begin dropping our altitude. Say 3,500 feet. Alright, and we're just going to fly this toward the airport. Once this says we're around 30 miles away, in theory, once this says we're about 30 miles away, I'll bring you guys back and we'll go over the approach to the airport. See you in a few. Hey guys, brought you back a little bit earlier than I planned because instead of 30 miles out, I think this is far enough. What we're going to do, we're actually going to switch over to a heading hold, and we know that our runway is at 354 degrees, so 90 degrees off of that would be 250, or 264 rather, but 265 will work just fine. And then what we're going to do, we're going to switch over our frequency. So we're tracking our runway. You can see we've picked up the glide slope and the localizer on the runway. We're a little bit below glide slope, but we're quickly going to pass that. So we're going to go ahead and drop our altitude to about 2,000 feet. Don't forget to cut back on the throttle, otherwise you might overspeed the aircraft. And we are going to fly at this would be a base leg. We're going to fly our base leg until we're pretty close to the heading we need to fly. Don't forget to readjust your nav1 dial to what it needs to be. It needs to be about 355. There's 3,000 feet. Coming up on 2,000 feet. Now, since we are coming into land now, it's alright to let your speed drop. So I've got my throttle at about 50% and I'm going to start dropping flaps. And your autopilot should automatically trim for you. Though, truth be told, I did drop my flaps a little bit early. You want to wait until your speedometer, or your, it's not called a speedometer in an airplane. Come on, Nick, what are you thinking? You want to wait until your airspeed indicator is in this white area here before you start dropping the flaps. Otherwise, you run the risk of damaging your flaps and control surfaces, which would not be very good, as I'm sure you can imagine. It looks like we're fighting a bit of a headwind here, so I have gone ahead and increased throttle above 50%. This isn't a hard and fast rule. I'm playing with my throttle a little bit. Come on, navigation. What's going on here? There we go. Let's go ahead and switch to a navigation hold. Overshot a little bit, but that's not a huge deal. And look, there's the runway. So now, once we get a little more lined up here, I'm going to go ahead and engage the approach hold. And what this will do, this will not only capture the localizer, but also the glide slope. And this will basically take us onto the runway. Assuming that you have your bearing set on this to be pretty much perfect. Even just a few degrees wrong will put you in the grass. So really, the approach is best suited for larger aircraft where you can be more precise with your inputs. And also, in this aircraft, you'd use it as a guideline in bad weather. You wouldn't typically use it on a day like today since visibility is so good. You'd just go ahead and perform a visual landing. But that's not what this video is for. See, the only thing I'm controlling right now is the throttle. The plane's autopilot is doing everything else. I'm going to go ahead and cut the throttle a little bit more so we can drop and hit that glide slope better. You can see our visual indicators, the PAPI lights here. White means too high, red means too low. Half and half means just right. So let's go ahead and drop another notch of flaps. drop the throttle accordingly so we don't get too much of a nose up change in pitch. Now, when you're flying an instrument landing, there is something called decision height or minimums, and that is where you have to decide if you're going to continue the landing or if there is something that's going to cause you to abort the landing, such as a truck on the runway, or say you no longer have visual contact on the runway, like say some rain kicked up all of a sudden. Like it was raining, so you're performing a an ILS approach, and then suddenly there was a gust of wind and it blew a bunch of rain on your windscreen. You could no longer see the runway. Well, at decision height or minimums, at that point, if you could not see the runway, you would have to go around. But if you could see the runway, once you get to minimums, you would go ahead and disengage autopilot and fly the rest of the landing manually. Now, I don't really have any way to tell what a good minimum heights would be, but let's go ahead and once we cross the threshold of the runway, we'll go ahead and disengage the autopilot and fly the rest ourselves. So there we are over the runway. Autopilot's off. Something people like to do on their landing too, they like to flare a little too much. The flare should come right at the end when you're about to touch down. We're gliding down the runway a little bit here. There we go. And there you have it. That is how you make a VOR flight and an ILS landing in the Cessna 172. Well guys, that is it for this video and also this short mini-series. Let me know what else you guys want to see for this Basics of Flight series. You know, if there's certain things in your flight that you guys are having trouble with, maybe you don't know how to read the signs at an airport, or you want help learning how to navigate your taxiways, you know, tell me these things in the comments below, and I will be more than happy to do what I can to help you out. But until next time, or until such time as you guys need more help, I'm AShadowbox, this is FSX, actually completely unmodded this time, besides for Easy Dock, which I use to control the camera like this and like this. That is Easy Dock, yes it is. Oh, and I think it just might have froze on me. Huh, that's kind of funny. Anyway, until next time, I'm AShadowbox, this has been FSX. I hope you've enjoyed, and have a good one, guys.